serious economic trouble.
OK, John, thank you very much for that. There is Alex Salmond, the SNP leader and First Minister, appearing on the stage at Perth Concert Hall, about to give his leader's speech. Let's listen in to that now.
What she didn't tell you, delegates, is I phoned reverse charges. Actually, the great thing about having Nicola Sturgeon as Deputy First Minister of Scotland is you don't have to rush back for First Minister's questions. Mind you, getting from A to B can be a problem. I mean, this is how it was. I was on the train yesterday in a first-class carriage with my second-class ticket. Anyway, one of these pleb types came up to me impudently doing his job, and I just said to him, Don't you know who I am, my man? I'm the Chancellor of the Exchequer. And he said to me, sure, I'm the Tsar of all the Russias. Get off this train. You know, delegates, there's a serious point in this for us and for Scotland. Why on earth do we allow this bunch of incompetent Lord Snooties to be in positions of authority over our country? And why does the Labour Party think it can survive getting into bed with them in the No campaign? Delegates, when I opened our proceedings just a couple of days ago, I spoke of the giants of our party, and I said that I trusted this conference. It was a trust based not on a single result or a specific vote, but on the way that I knew that this party of ours would conduct itself in debate. And yesterday, I've no doubt, we saw one of the finest debates in our party's history. And I'm certain that those giants, let's remember them, Robert McIntyre, Billy Wolfe, Alan McCartney, Neil McCormack, Margaret Ewing, Bashir Ahmed, listening and watching yesterday's debate on the future defence policy for our country, would have been proud of their party. Conference, there are good reasons why the people of Scotland have placed their trust in the SNP over 2 Scottish elections, and they shone out like a beacon from this conference hall yesterday afternoon. Different views, honestly held, openly debated, democratically agreed. When we started this conference, we had already demonstrated over 5 years that we are a party that is more than capable of being Scotland's devolved government. Today, the people of Scotland know, because of the manner in which we have conducted ourselves, that we are a party that's capable of being Scotland's first independent government. Friends, the 2 years that lie ahead of us now are the most important in our party's history and our country's recent history, to secure a better future for our families, for our communities, for our nation, a future which starts with a yes vote. Earlier this week, I met with the Prime Minister to sign the Edinburgh Agreement, an agreement which gives our own Parliament unchallenged legal authority to hold the referendum, which agrees the process, respects the outcome and commits both governments to working with that decision in the best interests of our people. Delegates, it's game on for Scotland. Now, that referendum creates a once-in-a-generation opportunity. And conference, that must include the new generation. 16 and 17-year-olds, young Scots who can marry, register for the army and can pay tax. Young Scots who I can confirm today will have the opportunity to vote on Scotland's future. Isn't it interesting that the political parties who refused to support 16 and 17-year-olds voting are now changing their tune? Now they say how important it is that all 16 and 17-year-olds vote, not just the attainers on the register. Conference, I can tell you today that we intend to introduce a paving bill over the next few weeks, which shall make it possible for all 16 to 17-year-olds to vote, if that is the will of Scotland's Parliament. Now, with Scotland's future in Scotland's hands, we can create a better country. We can choose a different path. This referendum is not just about an independent Scotland. It is about our belief that for Scotland there must be a better way. Our cause is not and never has been just about achieving our constitutional objective. It's about using that power to create a more prosperous economy and a more just society. Now, we know that there are many of our fellow citizens who remain to be convinced about the merits of independence. But we also know that there is a majority for change in this country. We know that at heart people trust their own Parliament far more than they'll ever trust Westminster. We know that when asked about individual powers, whether it be on defence, social welfare, European representation, people want these decisions to be controlled in Scotland. And we know that people want economic policy to be decided by the Scottish Parliament. So let's put these popular aspirations together. A Parliament which decides on social welfare, Trident, the economy, and represents Scotland on the world stage, and you have an independent Parliament. For independence is not a single event, it's a process. But it's a process which involves more than just the transfer of powers. It's a process by which we, that is all of us, accept the responsibility for changing our country and our communities for the better. Friends, in 1997, in Scotland's last referendum, I was proud to share a platform with the late Donald Dewar, among many others, as we made the case for a fairer and more democratic Scotland. 3/4 of the people voted for that proposition. People from across Scotland who wanted a stronger say on the decisions that affect them and their families. And in the years that have followed, that appetite has grown. They have seen what our Parliament has achieved and they like it. Conference, many want independence, many want more powers, but have no doubt once again the majority of our fellow citizens are for change. In 2014, the people of Scotland's voice will be heard again. Today I ask all of those who wanted that fairer and democratic country to pause and reflect on the kind of nation they would now like Scotland to be, to think of the progress that's been made and to consider the next step on Scotland's journey. Friends, our nation understands that there is work to do if we're to make Scotland the place we know it can be. Work to build a fairer nation, to turn potential into prosperity. The choice before us is now clear. Scotland can vote no and secure nothing. Or we can vote yes to get the platform we need. So we speak today to those millions of our fellow citizens who said yes to Scotland before, and will say yes to Scotland, yes to progress once again. The Scottish National Party once published a pamphlet, The Scotland We Seek. I love that term. The Scotland We Seek. The Scotland we seek is a country united by ambition and confidence, a country which achieves its potential, where hope eclipses fear. Over these next 2 years, our task is clear: to tell the truth about Scotland and what we can achieve, to proclaim that we have in ourselves all that we truly need to prosper, that together we can rebuild this nation, creating a Scotland that flourishes in body and in spirit once again, standing alongside the other nations of these islands as new partners and true friends. That, delegates, is the platform on which we shall win independence for our country. Now, as for the No campaign, well, their objective is somewhat different. It seems that they're against independence for one simple reason: because an independent Scotland be run by the people of Scotland for the people of Scotland. Instead of telling people in Scotland what we can do, they tell us what we can't do. You know, the irony is that most of them are thorough to a Westminster Parliament that can't run a railway, never mind a country. And just think of it, Labour, the party which brought the country to its financial knees, unites with the Tories, the party of omnishambles, to collectively tell Scotland that we are incapable of running our country. The message is clear enough. Abandon hope, all you who vote no. Friends, what a parcel of rogues in a nation. Westminster is beyond salvation, but our social democratic Scotland can still be won. Conference, according to the Labour Party, Scotland has become a something-for-nothing country. So exactly who are these people who want something for nothing? Is it the pensioner who wants the right to travel and the freedom from fear of not being able to fund their care in infirmity? Is it the family on £16,000 a year who had to choose previously between their prescribed medicines before this government restored a health service free at the point of need? Is it the student? Is it a student who now has the right to a free education so they can redeem their commitment to society through free education? Those who want something for nothing, according to Labour, are your friends, the neighbours, the workers at your side, your parents, your grandchildren, your children. So let us tell the Labour leadership about the reality of our fellow Scots. They don't want something for nothing. They just want the right to live in a country which understands the importance of society, a country that knows the value and not just the price of the services we hold dear. And these are the fruits not just of this party or of this government, but the fruits of a Scottish Parliament that chose to reflect our nation in these ways. It is a social contract between Parliament and people. Some call it universality. Some call it universality and say its time has passed. I call it human decency, and its time is now. Now, I would be tempted to say that Labour knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. But they don't even know the price of anything. These great gains of the Parliament, personal care, bus travel, an end to tuition fees, a free national health service, cost just over 3% of the Scottish budget. Conference, since 2007, John Swinney's efficiency programme in the Scottish budget has been demonstrated to have saved more than 3% a year. An interesting figure that, because the guru The guru that Labour have chosen for their Cuts Commission said in 2007 that no government could manage even 1% a year. Of course, you can't manage if you put bureaucracy before people, if your response to every challenge is to give up. That's New Labour's new way. Our way is very different. We expect public services to be run properly. We judge on output, not just on input. We know, for example, we can run the police and fire services of Scotland on a Scottish basis more efficiently while protecting the front line. We also know that free personal care is not some giveaway to the older generation. It removes fear. It provides dignity. It boosts the independence and well-being of tens of thousands of our fellow citizens. It prevents the need for many older people to be admitted to geriatric wards. Instead, helps to support them where they live and want to be, in their own homes, in their own communities. At conference, it was the vanguard of turning our values into law, as the Labour Party once said. We believe that the Parliament's policies on personal care, transport and education promote solidarity, remove stigma, protect the vulnerable from being isolated, and do not discriminate against hard-working families who are scrimped and saved. They give everyone a stake in the country because they reflect the common weal of Scotland. Friends, what was won could now be lost. Have no doubt, what was gained by devolution can only now be guaranteed with independence. For no sooner have Labour moved onto Tory ground than the other Tories became even more extreme. They declared that only 12% of Scottish households were contributors to the country. Only 12% were responsible for generating Scotland's wealth. I mean, even Mitt Romney only dismissed 47% of the US population. That's not good enough for the Tory leader in Scotland. She dismissed 88% of the country. Now, let's forget for a second that she got her calculations wrong. That would be about the same figure for the UK as a whole. How she forgot about corporate tax and VAT and public sector workers and all the rest of it. Let's just consider the mentality that seeks to depict just about every pensioner in this country as unproductive. Every pensioner unproductive? I know lots of pensioners who've never sworn at a police officer or dodged a fare. And I don't know a single Scottish pensioner who's been less productive than David Cameron or George Osborne. Delegates, the Tories wonder why they're at 13% in the Scottish polls. Believe me, they're lucky to be at 13%. And so Labour and Tory, the two great pillars of the Union, united in a death grip programme to sweep away concessionary travel, free prescriptions and education. Some in Holyrood think that Labour's new approach is clever. At conference, I have no doubt it is not wise. It is not wise to end the social solidarity that benefits all the people. It's not good politics to betray the fact that they would continue with Tory austerity if they were ever returned to government. The Scottish Trade Union Congress, the STUC, described Labour's views as extreme. Last year, Scotland lost a giant of the trade union movement and of Scottish public life. Campbell Christie was loved by many for his principles, his humour, his courage and his wisdom. In an interview just before his passing, this is what Campbell had to say. People say we can't afford things now. But in 1948, we couldn't afford the National Health Service and the pension schemes, but we did it. And when you start to look at the whole question of provision of support, you need to remember how little there had been back then and how important it was to make it happen. It was in that spirit that devolution was won. Devolution brought to life by people of all political persuasions, and if none, people with a vision of a better, of a different Scotland. Now, Labour's leaders tell Scotland we have wealth enough for Westminster's weapons of mass destruction, but they tell us we are too poor for Scotland's free personal care. If that is the price of London government, it is a price that Scotland will not pay. So this party, this government, makes no apology for standing behind full square the gains of the devolution era, and full square behind those hard-pressed families that benefit from these gains. And we'll work hard to extend these gains. So what is our vision that reconciles our social ambition to long-term sustainability? It lies in the process of early intervention and preventative spending by which we will build the platform of opportunity for all Scots. Even under the most extreme budgetary pressure from Westminster, John Swinney has diverted substantial sums, £500 million, to children's early years, to reshaping care for older people, to reducing reoffending. Within the limits of devolution, there's only so much that we can achieve. But conference, that will not stop us from doing what is right now, as well as pointing the way to a better future. We want Scotland to be the best place in the world for a child to grow up. I'm proud to say that the Family Nurse Partnership put in place by this government has already made a valuable difference to the lives of the families in the 4 health boards that currently use this programme. Since 2010, the pilot initiative has supported 450 young first-time mothers and their children. The benefits of family nurses are clear to anyone who has the privilege of meeting them and the families that they help. On Monday, I met with one of these nurses, Caroline Mackenzie, in Edinburgh, who told me about the nature of the fantastic work that family nurses do, helping to improve the health of mother and child, helping to increase employment prospects, helping children's readiness for school and their future academic achievement. Our aim is to be the best in the world at implementation of the Family Nurse Partnership, and therefore delighted to announce that with the £11 million over the next 2 years, we'll ensure the establishment of a Family Nurse Partnership across Scotland by the end of 2015, benefiting thousands of young families and giving some of Scotland's most vulnerable children the best possible start in life. The conference, let our message be heard clearly. This party, Scotland's party, has and never will lack ambition for our future generations. But our ambition for Scotland's children goes further. The country we pass on to the next generation must be better than the country we have today. Across Scotland, I know that every parent hopes that the life of their child enjoys will be better than their own, that their sons and daughters will see greater security, opportunity, happiness. Friends, for the first time in generations, this natural progression is now in doubt. That's why being independent is so important, not just for the Scotland of today, but for the Scotland of tomorrow. If independence is to mean anything, it must improve the chances, the life chances of every single young Scot. Delegates, that's why the first fruits of an independent Parliament should be felt by our youngest Scots. It's our duty to lay these foundations for a stronger future, just as it's our duty to stand up to the challenges that have haunted Scottish society for so long. During the debate yesterday, some delegates suggested our projected budget for conventional defence be lower. I understand that, but we must keep the nation secure, and we shall. But what may have been missed is that our plans are almost 1/3 £230 million lower than what we pay to Westminster at the moment. 230 million of that will be saved by ending our payments for the Trident programme. Let's call it the independence dividend. Over the next year, we will spell out what that independence dividend could do for services and for jobs, and we should start by committing to give every child an equal chance in an independent Scotland. A few weeks ago, I visited Dr Bell's in Leith, a family centre offering support, advice, friendship and hope to young families in that area. Let us resolve from this conference to grow such centres in every single community in an independent Scotland. This country, Scotland, all of us, our community, are still paying the price of the last Westminster recession, when too many of our fellow citizens were forgotten. Then Scotland was powerless in the face of a Westminster government that looked the other way, that passed by on the other side, leaving communities, families bereft of hope. But today, the end of the story can be different. Within the powers of devolution, this government has delivered a record number of modern apprenticeships, offering 26,000 young Scots this year the chance of work and training. We are protecting the numbers going to college. We have an all-time record high of young Scots going to university, totally vindicating our policy of free education. But I know, friends, that for families the most important thing today is their job. Finding a job, keeping a job. Friends, my frustration is this. At a time when Scotland is generating a larger share of taxes than our share of UK spending, as we heard from young Mahi Tahir yesterday, on the latest figures, Scotland contributes 9.6% of taxation but gets back 9.3% of expenditure. Financially stronger than the UK to the tune of £2.7 billion. More than £1,000 for every household in the country. With access to our own resources, we could invest more, borrow less and save for the future, protect services, or a combination of the three. Currently, when I demand new investment to create new jobs and to kick-start the economy, Westminster can say no, as George Osborne did again just this week. And conference, that no is not just to me as First Minister of Scotland. It's a no to thousands of our fellow Scots, men and women who seek nothing more than the opportunity to have a fair day's work. Let the message go out from this conference to the Tory Chancellor. Scotland is not in the mood to take no for an answer. Friends, as Scotland's government, we redouble our efforts. We work to give our wealth-creating small businesses the most competitive business tax regime in these islands. The Entrepreneurial Spark Initiative is supporting budding businessmen and women and is going to be rolled out across the country. With the limited powers we do have, this government and its agencies continue to work with every fibre of our being to encourage jobs and growth in this country. For example, in the last 2 years in a row, Scotland has been the top performing location in these islands for foreign direct investment. Across the world, people see Scotland for who we are, a land of skilled, committed people, a land worthy of investment. So today I can announce yet another vote of confidence in Scotland and her people. The Hong Kong telecommunications company 3 have today announced that they'll be creating almost 400 new jobs in Glasgow. This will This will almost double the number of workers at their site, and I welcome that many of these jobs have been agreed to be targeted at young people. Conference, this is a much-needed and welcome boost for the Glasgow and Scottish economies. But what we strive for, as the government of a devolved Scotland, what we strive for, we can actually achieve as the government of an independent Scotland. With devolution, day after day, year after year, we can take small steps forward when what Scotland needs is bigger and bolder strides. It's time for Scotland to move up a gear. Delegates, can any of us look round our country and can anyone say Scotland is as good as it could be, that we are fair enough, that we're equal enough, that we're making the most of the talents and the resources that we've been given? Conference, Westminster has had its chance, and Westminster has fallen short. It's not just that in Westminster and London we have a government that's unwilling to do the best for Scotland. It is incapable of putting Scotland first. For Scotland, what we have today is no longer good enough. We face a Westminster government that is hell-bent on pulling our society apart at the seams. Austerity, a one-way street with tax cuts for the rich and benefit cuts for the poor. Billions to be spent on new nuclear weapons while families struggle to heat their homes. What kind of brave new world is this? Friends, now is the time for Scotland to choose, to seize a different future, using our vast resources, our own tax base, our international reputation, universities that sit at the very top of world leagues for the quality of their research and innovation, 1/4 of Europe's offshore wind and tidal potential with 1% of the population, growing industries from food, from drink, from tourism to life science, our reputations for excellence in engineering across the sciences. Given all that we have, I ask again, why isn't Scotland doing better? So let us be clear. Westminster would put this first-class nation in the second-class carriages. No more second best for Scotland. Friends, it's past time for a fresh start for our nation, when opportunities will be seized and not lost, when our resources will be harnessed for the common weal and not squandered, when we use our wealth to nurture, not destroy. Conference, we seek independence for a reason. It's not for me, it's not for this party. It's for a new opportunity for every person in Scotland watching today. Independence is about family and future. It's for a more equal Scotland, the opportunity to change our nation for good. Within our reach, a flourishing green economy, a fairer society, a chance of a better future. What greater prizes can there be for any nation? Friends, Scotland's time is coming. Our home rule journey, begun so many years past by so few, is coming now to its conclusion. Together, we say yes to Scotland and to independence.
The SNP leader and First Minister Alex Salmond receiving a standing ovation there at Perth Concert Hall. He criticised the Westminster government, said they were led by incompetent Lord Snooties. He pointed to his party, which he said was capable of being Scotland's first independent government. He said it's game on for Scotland in the independence referendum. He said that a new paving bill will be introduced in the next few weeks to make it possible for all 16 and 17-year-olds to vote. He says he wants to rebuild the nation to create a Scotland that can flourish. He criticised the Labour Party for the something-for-nothing culture. He didn't want to end the social solidarity which benefits all the people, as he put it. He said, "Friend Scotland, the time is coming. Yes to Scotland. Yes to independence." That's a scene in the hall there in Perth. The ovation continues. With me here in the studio is Professor John Curtis of Strathclyde University.